Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you will restore your faith in humanity. This is the story of a little girl named Amara who lived in a small village in Kenya, and how one simple act of kindness changed everything. But first, let me ask you something. What would you do if you only had enough food for one meal, but encountered someone hungrier than you? Well, Amara's answer to that question will amaze you. Picture this: a dusty village outside Nairobi, where red earth meets endless blue skies. Amara was 12 years old, living in a small mud brick house with her grandmother, the only family she had left after losing her parents in a tragic accident. Now, when I say they were poor, I mean truly poor. Some days, they shared a single meal between them, but what they lacked in money, they made up for in something far more valuable, and you'll see what I mean in just a moment. On this particular morning, Amara's grandmother was feeling sick, coughing and weak. Amara counted their money. Just 3 small coins, barely enough for a goli and sukuma wiki. That's cornmeal and collard greens for those who don't know her. Grandmother, even in her weakness, said, "Amara, don't worry about me. You eat first, child." But Amara had already made up her mind to buy food for both of them, even if it meant smaller portions. Little did she know, this decision would lead to something extraordinary, because as she walked to the market that day, carrying her small cooking pot, she was about to meet someone who would change her life forever. Now, here's where the story gets interesting. There, stumbling near the market entrance, was a man in what looked like an expensive suit. But it was torn and dirty. He looked completely lost, completely broken. This man, let's call him David for now, was begging for food. But here's the thing that broke my heart. Person after person walked right past him. Another beggar, they muttered, "Just ignore him." But not Amara. When she saw this stranger, weak and hungry, she stopped. And what happened next is why I had to share this story with you. David told her he'd lost everything. His car had broken down miles away. He had no money, no phone, nothing. He hadn't eaten in 2 days. And Amara, this 12-year-old girl who had barely enough food for herself and her sick grandmother, looked at her small portion of food, then looked at this stranger, and she gave him everything. Her entire meal, all of it. Can you imagine? David was shocked. He said, "But this might be all you have." And you know what Amara replied? She said, "My grandmother taught me that when someone is hungry, we share. Even if we have little." They sat together under a big baobab tree, and as David ate, Amara told him about her life. She explained how her grandmother, despite being sick and poor, still taught her to be kind. She said something that gives me chills every time I think about it. Kindness costs nothing, but it's worth everything. Now, David was so moved by this that tears filled his eyes. He told Amara, "You have no idea how much this means to me." And before he left, his rescue team had found him. He gave her a simple bracelet from his wrist and said, "One day, I hope to repay your kindness." Amara waved goodbye, never expecting to see him again, because that's the thing about true kindness. It doesn't expect anything in return, right? Weeks passed. Amara went back to her simple life, caring for her grandmother, doing small jobs around the village, and yes, still helping others whenever she could. Her grandmother got weaker, and Amara worried constantly about medical bills they couldn't afford. But 3 months later, something happened that nobody in that village will ever forget. And I mean nobody. Picture this scene: expensive cars pulling up to this simple village, villagers gathering, curious and confused. And out of the lead car steps David, but not the broken, hungry man Amara had met. This David was in a crisp business suit, followed by assistants and even reporters. The villagers were whispering, "Who is this man? Why is he here?" And then David spotted Amara, carrying water as usual, and called out her name. What happened next left everyone speechless. David introduced himself as David Mwangi, CEO of East Africa's largest tech company, a billionaire. He explained that the day Amara found him, he had lost everything in a business deal and was ready to give up on life entirely. He said, "Your kindness didn't just save my body, it saved my spirit." But that wasn't the incredible part. The incredible part was what he did next. David had built a school in their village, a beautiful modern school named Amara Kindness Academy. Wait, there's more. He'd also set up a medical clinic for Amara's grandmother and the entire community. And then, he offered to sponsor Amara's education all the way through university. Can you imagine? This little girl who gave her last meal to a stranger now had her entire future secured, plus her whole community transformed. Her grandmother, now receiving proper medical care, said through tears, I told you, child, kindness always comes back. But here's what makes this story truly special. It's not just about the reward Amara received, it's about what David learned that day. He told everyone, "A young girl taught me that true wealth isn't measured in money, but in the kindness we show to others." And Amara, he said something that I want you to remember. When we give from the heart, even when we have little, we plant seeds that grow into miracles. Think about that. In a world where we're taught to look out for ourselves first, Amara chose differently. She chose to see a hungry human being instead of a stranger. She chose compassion over self-preservation. Today, that village thrives. Children attend the Amara Kindness Academy. Families receive healthcare at the clinic. And the whole community has been transformed, all because one 12-year-old girl chose kindness when it was hardest to give. So I'll leave you with this question. In your life today, who is your hungry stranger? Who needs your kindness? Even when you feel like you have little to give. Because remember, as Amara proved, your small act of kindness today might just be someone's miracle tomorrow. Sometimes, the poorest among us are the richest in what truly matters. And that, my friends, is the most beautiful truth of all.